From the Carson Student Athletes Center in Tempe, Arizona, it's Sun Devil Extra with Graham Rossini, presented by Spring Hill Suites, Phoenix, Scottsdale. No Graham Rossini this week. I'm Braiden, and we're joined by Deputy Athletic Director Lisa Young joining us. First off, Lisa, thanks for filling in this week, and you'll be with us next week as well, and appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really exciting to have you here today, and it's a great chance for fans here in Sun Devil Nation to kind of get to know you. You, along with Graham, of course, new at the top of the leadership pyramid here in the athletic department this year. What have you learned so far in your first few months on the job about athletics and about Sun Devil Nation as a whole?
Yeah, well, certainly appreciate the question. Appreciate you having me today. I'm a Sun Devil undergrad, so I've always had kind of ASU in my blood since then, and have worked for ASU since having a corporate career prior to that for over 7 years. So certainly not new to athletics. I've always sort of been into athletics, so it's been really just fun for me to be on this side of things. And I'm just excited for what's to come. I think the success that ASU has had writ large under the direction of Michael Crow has been fantastic, and just for ASU athletics to engage with that in a more meaningful way is a really exciting opportunity.
I think it's something we talk about often on this show, but the fact that the athletic department right now is being led by Sun Devils.
Yes.
You know, yourself along with Graham being alums, knowing this community, knowing this university so well, that makes a difference for fans and student athletes as well. I believe that you're familiar. With that said, how important is it, the transformation, the shift in athletics, like we just talked about, integrating that into ASU? What's that transition kind of been like?
Yeah, I love that, and you're right about the fact that it is so important that we have Sun Devils that are really at the helm here, because it matters to us. We take it personally. We've all seen the journey, the highs and lows, so it definitely is a personal thing, which I think matters. In terms of what that means and how we can better connect with the broader university, look, ASU has seen an incredible amount of success, 10 years of innovation. For us to link closer to that can only be accretive, both for ASU, but also, our student athletes, our coaches. We talk a lot about advancing ASU through sport. There is no better way to emote emotion and connect the community than sport. And so the ways by which that we can do that is really important to us. And we just really believe that ASU will continue to advance with athletics more closely connected. So it's really important.
You hear it all the time that athletics can be the front porch of the university, and certainly that is a very true statement. You also hear around these parts, activate the valley. Now let's talk about getting the community more involved with Arizona State athletics. I know that's something that you and Graham and the rest of this athletic department really care a lot about and are really striving to continue to do. What are some of the ways that you're trying to continue to grow the community involvement?
Yes, well, thanks to Coach Dillingham for coining that term, and it's really important. So, we certainly know we have, our fandom and our fans that are going to be with us through the highs and lows, but we also know that, Phoenix Metro being the 5th largest city in the nation, metropolitan space in the nation, we have new people moving here all the time, and how better to unite the community than through sport, and what the responsibility is for ASU. It's in our charter to be inclusive, to serve the community. So, it's part of what athletics should be doing, and, it certainly is something we want to do better. And you'll hear in our marketing, we're trying to appeal more to families and the community, because collegiate games and activities and sport is a really family-friendly environment. And with the 26 sports that we really have something for everybody, and that is just in and of itself inclusive. Yeah,
there's no question about that. And no matter what the day of the week is or the month of the year, there's going to be something going around campus. That's the brilliant part about Sun Devil Athletics and where we're at right now as a department as well. I want to ask you, maybe on a personal level or department-wide, what's something on your to-do list moving forward? Maybe not something that's in the works just yet, but something that you've identified that you'd really love to get starting around here.
Yeah, well, I think certainly, the athletes and their stories, to me, it's always personal. When you read the individual stories of where they came from, whether it's international, local, across the U.S., I think better telling their stories. There's always so much depth to that. And so, for me personally, even though, my role is more specifically engaging the community, driving revenues, and making sure we're building a strong foundation, that foundation is for our coaches, for our students, and for our programs. So, how do we just better tell those stories of what they're doing and how they're succeeding athletically, but also, academically? And I think that's also why we feel very passionately about preserving and maintaining, the experience of a collegiate experience for our athletes. Commercializing that and going too far in that direction, it really takes away from the experience that we want them to have.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I think that's a really important point that maybe some people wouldn't think about going forward. That is something to definitely look at.
Yeah.
In terms of your experience so far in your new role here on the athletic sides of things, what has been a pleasant surprise or something you maybe didn't expect about your job that you've enjoyed so far?
Yeah. Listen, you cannot come to athletics and not have an action-packed day. You also have, an agenda that, in one change of an hour is going to be totally different. And I love that because I know that, even though I think my day is going to look like X, it actually is Y. And so, we're never bored. There's never, nothing to do, which is true about ASU, I would say in general, but I think athletics is probably that exponentially. So certainly it takes a certain kind of person to love that and to thrive off of that. But that's probably been the biggest surprise, but also just pleasant, positive attribute too.
We're already now in October.
Yes.
Somehow. Fall sports are obviously right in the thick of things with conference play, winter sports getting going, and we'll cover more of that in our final segment on the show today. But has there been one sport, coach, student, athlete that's really excited you a lot so far in terms of maybe their story off the field or performances on?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot there.
Love that question.
It's a tough one.
I think I have gotten to know some of the coaches a little bit better than others, but for, all the coaches, I can say they all bring something diverse and unique. And it's one of the reasons I love ASU is the diversity. I think you see that in our coaches.
Yes.
You have coaches who are, earlier in their coaching career who are seeing success. Obviously, all of them at a D1 level are successful. Many who are further along and are, just offering advice and wisdom and what they've learned, but then others who are just excited. And I think seeing that diversity is really important for our program because if we were all one way, that would be boring, right? I think I just really appreciate all of their perspectives and their willingness to dive in and embrace a lot of change that has come their way. That says something about them and the programs that they're building. But we're here to support them and the team, so I'll continue to learn more and get closer to them along the way. But I'm excited.
There's been so many attributes of this year where it's been newness, new conference, new leadership at the top, of course. But this weekend there's a Hall of Fame luncheon where we get to recognize and appreciate Sun Devils from the past that made a great contribution. What excites you the most about this Hall of Fame class that we'll be talking about more on this episode, of course, and honoring this weekend as well?
Yes. Well, this will be my first Hall of Fame luncheon that I get to attend in person. Certainly I have seen it from afar, but I think if you imagine someone like Roger Detter, not one, but 3-letter winner in multiple sports, I mean, it's just wonderful to be able to showcase that. And then, of course, I remember Will Sutton because, I've watched Will Sutton and what a defensive player he is. So, just to be able to showcase, Caitlin Boyd, another one, I think it's just exciting to pause and really showcase the excellence that is ASU athletics. It's just a wonderful moment for us to be able to do that in such an exciting weekend with so much going on, family weekend, our Big 12 home opener. I just love the energy also that'll be around that event this weekend.
It's awesome that it's this weekend too. It's kind of like 2 homecoming weeks this year for ASU. Big 12 homecoming this week with the Hall of Fame luncheon.
Yes.
And of course homecoming coming up later this fall. Lisa, segment 1 done. You did great,
Thank
by
you.
the way. I know we've got some more stuff coming on, but a good opening segment, a nice chance for Sun Devil Nation to get to know the Deputy Athletic Director of Arizona State University, Lisa Young. We'll be back with more on the Mountain American Credit Union Sun Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to Sun Devil Extra. It is Hall of Fame weekend here at Arizona State, and we're now joined by one of the 6 inductees into the Sun Devil Hall of Fame, Valerye Boyer-Wells, joining us now here on Sun Devil Extra. And before we get into questions with Valerye, I'm going to take you through a little bit of her resume, and it's going to be lengthy, so bear with me here. 4-year track star here at Arizona State, a 6-time All-American. I hope you're not too humble because I'm about to really flatter you, by the way. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Right. 4 different events, 6-time All-American, was part of 2 national championship teams, held 4 different school records at the time of her graduation, one of which was just broken not too long ago in the 200 meter. We'll talk more about that in our conversation, but it wasn't just athletics that made Valerye truly outstanding. After she graduated from Arizona State with her undergrad, she then went to law school and would graduate from Sandra Day O'Connor Law School in 1985, passed the bar in 1986, a judge at the Mesa Municipal Court after that. Just a phenomenal career on and off the track beyond your achievements in athletics. So first off, I want to ask you, how did your athletic career help you reach the levels that you were able to accomplish after you were done running track here at ASU?
Oh, well, first, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
For having me here. I'm pretty excited about it, and I'll do the best I can in answering questions. Everything I learned that's important in life, I learned through track and field. How to set goals, how to be a team member, how to care about someone other than myself, understanding what I do does affect other people, and what they do affects me. Running track, I started when I was 10. And Title IX had just kind of kicked in, and my track coach, who was my elementary school PE teacher, Jim Ciccarello, who's still my good friend and who will be here for the Hall of Fame luncheon, he told me when I was 10 years old that if I ran fast enough, I could go to college for free. Free? Like, free? Pretty good.
Yeah.
And my mom raised 7 kids by herself, and going to college, she wasn't going to be able to pay for. Mm-hmm. So free sounded good.
Yeah.
So that was my goal. My goal at 10 years old was to run track, to go to college, and not to be an Olympian, not to be a world-class sprinter, not to be a school record holder, but run well enough to go to college. And I did that plus some. And just learning how to be patient with myself. When you're injured, you're injured. You've got to give yourself slack. When you feel good, you do good.
Yeah.
You don't give excuses. You own what you do, own what you say, own how you treat people. Just do the best you can and work hard.
I want you to look back on your time at ASU for a moment.
Okay.
And what are some of those memories you can really still feel and live vividly? It can be either your time on the track competing and having success as you did, or studying. What are some of those memories that first come to mind when you think of your time as a student here?
Wow, what a great question. One memory that I absolutely embrace and love is how we warmed up at track meets. We had some awesome young ladies from New Jersey, and they did chants and they sang, and so our whole warm-up drill, people would come to track meets early just to watch the team warm up. And we did our laps. We would do running drills, the exercises, the chants, like, you know, when you're like military kind of
Sure.
running and chants. That was just so awesome because it didn't matter whether you're a weight person or a sprinter or a distance, it was the team, and we all did it. And we did it at the beginning of the meet. Everybody warmed up. It didn't matter when your race was.
Right.
It was just a team warm up. And that was pretty cool. The other memories I have, I didn't really realize how much I love running. I would go to class, walk to class, and break out in a jog and not realize I'm jogging. Because I just really liked running. And that's kind of weird. Like, are you in a hurry? No.
Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
And then I would find myself getting a little jog, and I'm like, well, I'm not in a hurry. Why are you running? And it just felt good. I like the fact that when I went to school, I never dressed in sweats. I always dressed for class. And unless you knew I was an athlete, you wouldn't know. you know, because I wasn't going around telling you unless you came to track meet and just knew what I looked like.
Right.
I was a student when I was a student. My goal was to get a degree. I had 4 years to do it and get in, get out, and get on. Was the goal. I would say the people that I met, I kind of grew up with. The people in college are the people you kind of learn how to play well with others, so to speak, how to encourage somebody else or someone encourage you, how to deal with conflicts if you have conflicts with somebody. The members of the track team, men and women, was great. It was fun. We still talk and joke with each other. I know some of them, their spouses or exes or their kids. It's just wonderful memories.
You know, you hear all the time that your college years are so transformational, and it's really where you can change as a human being for the better, and certainly it seems like you found your footing here in Phoenix, originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico. We were just talking about that off air. What made you fall in love with this place and ultimately decide to stay here for all the years after you've graduated as well?
That I tell you, as an age grouper running track, coming to Arizona for track meets, they had a 10-lane track. It was gold, it was beautiful. I fell in love with the track. And I was like, wow, to run here. The weather was good, it didn't snow.
Yep.
It might rain, it was hot as all get out. that heat was, I got heat stroke the first week I got here. Was not used to that. But the track was just beautiful. The campus was awesome. When I looked at Gamage, oh my God, I've never seen a building so pretty. I liked running around the campus, like just jogging around. Because you could do that. Now, this place is so huge.
Right.
You get hit by a train. It's just the feel. I like the girls that were coming also, Rhonda Brady, Kathy Crawford, Brenda Calhoun, Frida Cobb. I mean, these ladies were coming to Arizona State. Like, I want to be in that number. And so, and Sue Humphrey, she was really plugged in to all of us young ladies who are running, you know, club track. It was just everything.
Again, we're here with Valerye Boyer-Wells, one of 6 inductees into the Sun Devil Hall of Fame later this weekend. And I want to ask you about what that honor has been like for you in terms of knowing that your name and everything you accomplished here is going to be with us for the rest of time. It's quite the honor, and I know it means a lot to you clearly, but you know, just tell me a little bit about how special this has been for you and your family, knowing that you are about to be inducted into the Sun Devil Hall of Fame.
See, you're not supposed to ask that.
It's my job, I'm sorry.
I didn't even bring tissue because I said I wasn't going to cry. I can't find the words. I really can't. You're going to make me mess my makeup up.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I told you we'd laugh. I didn't tell you we'd cry.
Yeah. The thing about being in the Hall of Fame, it's you run or you compete and you do the best that you can do no matter what.
Right.
I never ran thinking, oh God, this will get me into the Hall of Fame. I never ran for that. I just ran to do the best that I could and to make my coaches proud, to make my team members proud, to make, you know, my school or my city. I got inducted into the Albuquerque, the New Mexico State Hall of Fame back in 2003, and I was blown away by that. And it was quite the honor. Arizona State feels different trying to find the right words, and usually I'm not at loss for words, but to compete and not realize how good you are, because you're just running, and you're just trying to do well for your school, and or the letter, or to just be a champion, or just do the best that we could. And I guess I assumed I did well, but I never really thought about Hall of Fame. And when I did, it was like, well, I guess we were good, but maybe I wasn't that good. You know, like
Sure.
like check yourself,
Sure.
right? And to go through and be a student athlete and really be on the dean's honor roll, and to do well in school, and run my whole career, and then boom, I'm off to law school and have an entire career as a lawyer, and then as a judge, and a retired judge, and I still pro tem as a judge. And then they induct me. I think it's more overwhelming for me now because of all the things I have done than if it would have been 10 years out of school. Because I would have thought I was a good athlete. But this showed me that I transcended everything I did from sports into life.
Sure.
Not just career, but into life. Everything is at that status, at that level. I've been married 43 years. I have 4 kids. 2 of them I said I'd do, and poof, I had 2 kids. They were 5 and 8. I gave birth to kids. I had 6 grandchildren. One's in heaven. 2 great-grandchildren. Our great-grandson was born in April. I really feel like ASU said, let me look at all of you and honor all of you. And that's what this Hall of Fame feels like.
Well, I'll tell you this, and we'll end on this. I think that 10-year-old girl from Albuquerque, New Mexico would be very proud of all the great things you did, not only, of course, competing in track and field, but everything you've done beyond it. A true embodiment of what a Sun Devil is, both competing and after graduation as well. Valerye Boyer-Wells joining us here on Sun Devil Extra. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much, Braiden.
We'll be back with more. Back here in Tempe, inside the Carson Student Athletes Center, and it is Hall of Fame Luncheon Weekend here on the campus of Arizona State University. And another one of the 6 inductees joining us now here on Sun Devil Extra. It is John Spini, the former head coach of the gymnastics team here at Arizona State. He served as head coach for 34 years, one of the more successful coaches all time, regardless of sport, in Arizona State history. So, Coach, first off, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the honor.
Well, thanks for having me here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and such an exciting weekend for all 6 of you being inducted into the Hall of Fame. But, you know, we'll talk about your career here at Arizona State and some of the things you were able to accomplish. 21 NCAA championship appearances, 27 All-Americans you coached, and then 81 All-American accolades in all. 6 women won individual national championships. I mean, when you hear some of those numbers, you lived through all of those individual student athletes, individual and team successes. What does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, it was never work to me, and working with very talented athletes makes a huge difference. And we were able to recruit and have a lot of talent. And I just enjoyed every moment when you get to go out there on the floor in a high-level competition and see the performances and watch them grow from their freshman year to their senior and then out in the real world. It means a lot, and I loved every moment of the time they were student athletes, and that's the key. They were all student athletes.
I want to kind of go back to when you found out you were going to be inducted into this Hall of Fame. Where were you? What was your reaction like? You know, what was that experience like for you in that moment?
Well, I was actually called to have a quick happy hour drink with my friend Tom Collins and Doug Tamrell.
Okay.
So I showed up because we sometimes will do that, and we sat down, and I'm thinking, am I going to end up paying this bill or not? So that's my first thought. And they just said, we have something to tell you. You've been selected to be inducted into Hall of Distinction. And I was kind of like speechless because, I thought I had a great career here, and it was never worked to me. But I was very excited. I was actually quiet for the first time in my life, and I was just taking it all in. And it was a moment that I'll cherish. And Tom Collins is a good friend, and he was a great administrator, and so was Doug Tamro. And to have those two come over and tell me was very special and exciting for me.
If there needs to be proof of the career you had, the gymnastics facility is still named after you. So that in itself shows what kind of an impact you made here on campus. But 34 seasons at the helm as the head coach. I know this is going to be a hard and overwhelming question potentially, but what are some of those memorable moments when you look back on your coaching career? Are there any that really stick out?
Well, it's hard to say without causing me problems with any certain team.
Right. Yeah, I set you up for failure with that question.
But, I'll tell you, I started as a head coach at 25, 26, somewhere in there, and I was never an assistant. I coached an Olympian in '76, Tammy Manville, and I was very close to Coach Robinson, and Mona Plummer brought me in, and Dick Tamburo brought me in and interviewed me. And when I started here, the first thing I thought was my very first year we were 5th in the country. And I thought, wow, this is just about getting, not just coaching, but getting out there and you get to find this talented athlete. So learning some special moments is when you sign a top kid, or
Sure.
you get, like, we get Lisa Zeiss, who was in the Olympic trials right off the bat and was a national champion and an All-American. And some of those memories are very special. The first time in 1983, 86, second place finishes. Those are exciting. 1997, coming back, making the Super Six at the time when they call it, and being in the Super Six. Second in the country, we're in the meet, but we have to buy the last event, and UCLA's on bars, and they're the only team that can catch us. But you're sitting out, and it's subjective judging, so we lose the meet by .025. That's a heartbreaker, okay, and you have no control over it. But watching my team get together and the charisma, the character, and the values they showed, keeping their head up and knowing, hey, we hit every routine and we walked off the floor knowing that we put it all out there.
Right.
That's a special moment for me. Making sure in my tenure, another special moment is that we've graduated. In my tenure, we graduated every athlete but 5.
Wow.
And that's a huge thing to me.
is.
And again, I always wanted to coach kids that wanted to be a student and get out there and give back. And that's what I look for. I got a little softer as I grew a little bit older. And I think coaching now, it's a special talent with the NIL and
Sure.
everything else. But when I was there, the head coach had the final say of everything. And now it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You have to work through a lot of groups. But those are some special moments. I hope I answered your
No,
question.
you absolutely did, and I'm glad you covered several different teams. I didn't want you to be getting in trouble here with any of your former
I
athletes.
can. I still will get those emails.
I want to ask you about what ASU means to you, because obviously being a head coach here for 3 decades plus, growing up in the area, going to school here, all those different things. ASU's been a constant in your life for a long, long time. What does this university and this honor specifically mean to you and your family as well?
Well, I want to thank Arizona State for giving me a living and for everything they did for me. The athletic department was amazing. I grew up in the state, and I graduated from Arizona State University. And it was special for me to come back and work here.
Right.
I love coaching with the best athletes, and knowing that my degree was from here, and the tradition of doing the best I can was important to me. I was never a great student, okay, but I worked hard.
Yeah.
Okay, and Arizona State has so much to give. Athletes, regular students. It's a huge university, and I went through 3 presidents. Dr. Russell Crowe, Laddie, Russell Nelson.
Yep.
Then you had Laddie, and Laddie Core, and President Crowe. And they've done a great job with the landscape of this university. We've grown so big, but they still try to keep the idea of what we need for these young people to go forward, and I love that. Went through many athletic directors, and I have to give a special thank to Herman Frazier, who we were talking about earlier, who was a great mentor to me. I've had some great athletic directors and people,
Sure.
but they help the coach, and you don't really understand that, but an administrator that works with you directly is so important. So, yeah, Arizona State has the unique ability to help you individually find success.
It takes a team behind the team, right? It really seems like that.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach Spini, certainly you deserve to be a member of the Hall of Fame here at Arizona State, and congratulations on everything you've accomplished, and I hope you enjoy this weekend because it should be very special.
Thank you very much, and thank all of you gentlemen and everybody involved in this. I'm really excited.
No problem. Yeah, it's well deserved without a doubt. We'll be back with more after this on the Sun Devil Radio Network. We're back again with Arizona State Deputy Athletic Director Lisa Young here for the last segment of our show today, and now it's time to talk about what's coming up this week in Sun Devil Athletics, and certainly there is a lot going on campus this weekend. We'll start with football, and of course the Devils back at home for the first time in what feels like a month, because it was almost a month. 2 road games and a bye wedged in between there, and it'll be Saturday at 5 p.m. on ESPN2. If you aren't in the Valley, if you are in the Valley, well, come out to Sun Devil Stadium. It is the Big 12 home opener for ASU, the Maroon Monsoon. Family weekend. I could go on and on and on. A very fun weekend expected, and a 3-1 Sun Devil team trying to get to 4-1 against the Kansas Jayhawks. Should be a really fun Saturday afternoon and evening in Tempe.
It really should. Hopefully it'll cool down a little bit. It doesn't look like it, but it is the Inferno, so we will be ready. 5 o'clock kick. I think you mentioned that we have a lot of excitement around it, but we also are, really moving towards a sellout. So we're thrilled for that. We have absolutely seen such energy and excitement from the community. Our students have shown up in droves, so we're looking forward to that. So yes, we're ready for Saturday for sure.
Coach Dillingham said it in his Monday press conference. Look, it's going to be hot, but just get really familiar with the person next to you, and it should be just fine. The student turnout was great, like you said, in the first 2 games. Close to breaking records, see if they can potentially achieve those records on Saturday, and a lot of excitement around this football team, of course, so far. Now we kind of move still with the football team and theme, I should say, this weekend and get into Big 12 homecoming. The Hall of Fame luncheon we talked about in segment 1, 6 legends being inducted into the Sun Devil Hall of Fame. That comes up on Friday, and then they'll also be honored Saturday as well at halftime of the football game. I mean, we already talked about the exciting stories the Hall of Fame class can bring to this weekend's festivities, but should be a lot of fun to see them being honored at the football game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What we're really trying to do too with our football games is showcase all of athletics and really make it all about, athletics and sport and celebrating those moments. So this is a perfect opportunity to do that, and for, the general public and those who are attending the game to just see them in person and just really highlight them once more. So hopefully it'll be a wonderful experience for them too.
Let's take a 180 now from over 100 degrees at the football game on Saturday to hockey, and they get going this weekend. They'll be on the road in Colorado Springs taking on Air Force Friday and Saturday at 6 p.m. You can hear those games, of course, on the Sun Devil Radio Network, but certainly it's first off wild that hockey's already back in my eyes. It feels like we just got going with fall sports about a week ago, but now we're into October. So very fun, of course. Home games coming up at Mullet Arena as the year goes on. There's the new TV deal on Fox 10 here locally, but a lot of excitement around this hockey program, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Nationally ranked NCHC conference, so lots of excitement there in terms of, tough teams coming to town. It's exciting for us to showcase, what a beautiful space Mullet is, and the energy, speaking of energy and excitement, just that is the game to be at. And of course, season tickets selling out, just harnessing all of that energy. We did a kickoff event last week with our corporate partners, and certainly Coach Powers, I know, is ready to go. So, and we're ready too. So I think we have all of our sports in play in some way, shape, or form, whether prepping or actually launching their seasons already.
Coach Powers is always ready to go.
He is.
He's ready to go at all times,
That's
it seems
right.
like. Another nationally ranked program, you mentioned how hockey is preseason. Volleyball, of course, in the swing of things, and they've been a very solid contender in the Big 12 so far. 15th nationally. They split the road weekend this past weekend against Baylor and TCU, a couple of other teams that are ranked nationally. Well, now they're back at home, and they're making their Big 12 debut Wednesday night against Utah and Friday against number 20 BYU. So J.J. Van Niel in this program, of course, kind of took the Pac-12 by storm last year. They came in with high expectations this year in the Big 12. So far, they've lived up to those expectations.
Yeah, and it's been just, if people have not been to a volleyball game and seen those women in action, it is something to see. It's just action-packed. It draws in such a wonderful community too. It's such a growing sport for young girls, and being a mom to a daughter who is a preteen at this point, I think also just seeing those female athletes and just the leadership that they have too. What an awesome team to be to be showcased. So yeah, we're thrilled for that. JJ, again, talk about a fiery coach. He's fantastic too, and I think just the energy there is really fun to see. So hopefully people come out. There's plenty to do. We can take you from one sport to the next in a given day, and we're ready for it.
Yeah, as we said, the volleyball team will be taking on Utah on Wednesday. That'll be at Mullet Arena, and then Friday against BYU will be at Desert Financial Arena as well. So certainly plenty to see. One more big event at home this weekend, soccer at home on Friday night against Utah, and then of course men's and women's dive getting underway Friday night at 6 p.m. against UNLV, defending national champions.
That's right.
So that needs to be talked about as well, and should be a pretty fun atmosphere over at Mona Plummer on Friday night with a program that has obviously been at the top of the mountain just a year ago.
Yes, absolutely. We will absolutely be there, and they'll be there the following week as well.
Yeah.
So, we invite people to come and see that. Obviously, as you mentioned, national champions, Olympians featured in Iliad and Leon Marchand. So, it's just a wonderful way to personify these people who, we're on a global showcase, and to see them, in action is certainly exciting. But yeah, pick your sport, and it's available this week here.
It's been about a month or 2 months now from the Olympics, but that buzz is still kind of in the air. And what better place to go out than watching one of the better swim and dive teams in the country, both on the men's and women's sides of things. And that'll be Friday night at 6 p.m. Men's tennis also in action all week long. They're not at home, but of course that is going down as well. And as always, you can keep track of all of the results on social media, of course, on thesundevils.com as well. Well, that just about does it for this week's edition of Sun Devil Extra. Big thanks again to Lisa Young for filling in for Graham Rossini this weekend, and a big thank you to our guests as well. We'll be back again next week for another week of highlighting Sun Devil athletics, and should be a very fun week until then. We'll see you next time.